Oh yeah, I thought I'd make a quick video on how I make knives. I started the ones I'm currently working on before I started filming, so but I put up some stills of the ground flat stock and the templates and cutting them out and the basic sort of shaping of them, and these are what I've got so far. 3 of those, and the other, well, 4, but this one's had the well, I put the bevel on this one and drilled the pinholes, so that's that one. And they're all, as I say, they're all small neck knives, O1 tool steel from ground flat stock, and basically all that's left to do with these ones now is to put the bevels on, drill the pinholes, and then they're ready for hardening in the forge. So look forward to hearing any comments you have on the process, etc. This is the basic jig setup that I use for putting the bevels on the blades. This is just one of the blanks, and well, what you've got to do first is Alright, I can't find it at the moment because it's behind the camera somewhere, but you have to mark where the ricasso is going to come to on the forefront, at the bottom of where the bevel is going to be, and I line that up with the edge of the clamp so that the file can't go any further that way and wreck it. And I use a roofing gauge. I lay the roofing gauge on here like so, and a spare piece of steel. And that will tell you the angle that your bevel is going to be at. Nice and easy to use. You can see it's marked all the way up to 90 degrees on this one, right on the outside there. So these ones are, well, this is set at around about a 5-degree angle at the moment, so I might need to adjust that slightly just to get the decent sort of bevel on it. So whatever looks best, really. I mean, these are neck knives, so they're not going to be taking a lot of punishment, so if they've got a shallow bevel, it just means that they're going to cut easier with less force, so that you don't really miss the extra handle size. And once that's all set up, I use a piece of aluminium section, you see that, just to top off an old kitchen cupboard, this one, and I use a G-clamp to attach a file to the back. Then the file sits on the top of the jig at the back there, and you just take the metal off of the on the blade there, so that you use the bevel, and that keeps an even, uniform grind all the way along the sides. Let's see if we can let you see that a bit better. Right. So you can see what's going to happen. I'll do it on a piece of wood next to it so that you can see. So you can see that just start to put the bevel in there. It does the same thing on the blade, keeping it all the way across. Okay. and as you can see, the bevel is starting to take shape. And I should also point out at this point that every now and then I check the depth of what's left, because you don't want to go down to the halfway point just yet. Do that after it's hardened. So this is 4mm steel, so what I do is I go down so that there's 2.5mm left, like underneath the bevel, right on the front edge there, which means that when I flip it over and do another 1.5mm in from the other side, there'll be a 1mm edge on the front. Okay, you might not be able to see this too well, but we're down to 2.5mm thick now, left on the edge. All the way along. And now it's time to turn it over. Well, actually I can show you now how it's come out. That's one side of the bevel done. And on this edge we're down to about 2.5mm. So now we can turn it over onto the other side of the jig, and again line it up with the Ricasso line. And do the same on this side. Another useful tip is when you come to do the backside, the second bevel, then measure the first bevel you did. So it doesn't have to be exact, just approximately, something like that. Then you can check to see how close you're getting every now and then as well. As you can see, this has got a bit more to go. It's getting closer this way. And the reason why you leave about 1mm on the edge rather than taking it to a point is there's less chance of it fracturing when you heat treat it. Or not heat treat it, sorry, harden it. Because if it's got a thin edge, it can bend, buckle, snap, fracture, whatever. So it's always best to do it this way. Plus you've got to clean up all the mess afterwards, because it will get covered in oil and black muck. So you've got to sand it down again and sharpen it off. So okay. Right, now the bevel's been ground, or roughly ground. You have to mark out where the pins are going to go so you can drill them. And the easiest way I've found doing this is, because this is a rounded sort of shape on the end here, you measure how wide that is. So this is 30mm, so you go 15mm in, which is there, and 15mm up, so about there. I mean, it's probably best to mark it with a pen so that you can won't make any mistakes then. So that needs to be about there. And what I use is an automatic punch for this, just to mark it. And these things you can pick up cheap and they last pretty much forever. I mean, I've had this one for about 12 years now. And that'll just stop the drill bit skidding about once it's on. And with the other one, it's got to go, well, with this style knife, it depends how your scales and whatnot, where they're going to go, but with this one it needs to be just behind where the curve is and halfway between the two, which is about there. So, and also with this particular knife, the back lanyard hole is larger, as they often are, and there's one other pin on this because it's only a small neck knife. Normally they'd have 2 or 3 pins plus the lanyard. So, and then it's over to the pillar drill. Now, as my pillar drill, I just use a a drill press stand with a normal drill inside it. Move that up so you can see. Just a cheap Bushcraft stand. I mean, that does fine for me. I mean, there's a bit wobble, but once it starts biting, the steel's tough enough to keep it in a straight line. So, and I also use, wait for the van to go past. I also use cobalt drill bits, because they drill through the steel a lot easier than standard HSS bits. Not the cheapest thing in the world, but again, they last quite a while. And the back hole on this one is a 7.5mm. So line that up roughly where it's going to go. Which is there. Like so. Now, cobalt drill bits tend to cut a little bit easier at lower speeds rather than higher speeds, but because this is only a well, not a cheap drill, but a low powered drill, it loses a lot of speed when it sort of starts hitting the material, so I have it set slightly higher than it needs to be, so that when it does hit and it loses speed, it's still at the right speed, if that makes sense. And the front hole on this one is a 6.5mm. And the same again for the front hole. And there you go. All ready for the hardening process now.